Grab the popcorn and get ready to join Kris and Jordie on a journey through some of the most celebrated films of all time that Jordie's never seen before. You're listening to It's About Time You Watch This.
Welcome back to another episode of It's About Time You Watch This. It's Kris.
And Jordie.
And today we are watching what I would call a cult classic film. You very rarely find someone that doesn't enjoy this movie. So I'm interested to see how today goes. Today we are watching...
You'd better get bright, pal. We got a show to do. Then we got to figure out some way to collect that gate money. Get it to the Cook County Assessor's office as soon as they open in the morning.
Joliet, Jake, and Elwood Blues. Two men with a mission, and only 11 days.
Our Lady of Blessed Acceleration, don't fail me now.
For me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
The Blues Brothers.
Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
Yes, we are watching The Blues Brothers.
Yes.
I am pumped for this because I rewatched this the other night, and I watch this probably every couple of months. It's another one of those films that I watch very regularly. I watched it the other night and I went, oh, I forgot how good this movie is. So I'm really keen to get your take on it because it is a very dry sense of humour film, and we know how you've gone with those in the past.
What are you saying?
That your sense of
I don't have a sense of humour.
Your sense of humour leaves a lot to be desired. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, okay. All right.
Let's just jump straight into it.
I have a lot of questions.
Oh, okay.
A lot of questions.
Okay.
Okay. So he got out of jail, but what was he in there for? How long? What did he do? They don't answer anything.
Well, they do as we go along.
Yes, but I didn't find out what was happening until like 40 minutes into the film. Look, this gets better. At the start, I was like, what is going on? Should I have read up about this before I watched this movie? I was really confused. Like the crazy lady. They don't explain her thing until the end of the movie.
I think that's a lot of the movie's charm as well.
Is it charm? It just makes me angry.
Look, not everybody has to have everything explained to them straight away like you do.
I don't like surprises. Either do you. I've seen you read reviews for movies that are not even out yet.
Yeah, and?
We don't like surprises here. Give me the information.
Okay.
So it's old. There's lots of church references already. Pretty into their church thing, which, not an issue.
They're on a
that's
mission
cool.
from God.
Which they say about 10,000 times throughout the movie.
Because it's true.
Another question I had was, is this movie classed as a musical with the big church dance scene at the start? Like pretty much straight in,
Yes, this is a musical.
Okay, cool.
It's a
so why was there not a lot
comedy.
of music until halfway through?
I think that may have been a choice.
Okay, because I liked it from halfway through. First half, I did not.
So it was actually, the characters, the Blues Brothers, are based off a Saturday Night Live sketch.
It's all Saturday Night Live. I really need to watch this.
A lot of this comes back. So that was back in 1978, the characters were created. And the movie was made in 1980. So that's how it sort of started. So there was a little, when it came out at the cinemas,
Yep.
I guess there was a little bit of cultural awareness of the characters.
Okay, so
That
people
makes sense.
had some background knowledge.
A little bit of background knowledge.
So the car chase through the mall was a little bit ridiculous. That's all I've got to say about that one. I mean, funny. I did laugh at it.
I think if you'd gone to the cinemas to see this in 1980 and not known what it was about,
Yes.
you would have been sitting there going, what is going on?
That's exactly how I felt.
Because you're right, up until that point, it doesn't...
They don't explain
it's not
anything.
Comedy, it's not super comedy heavy. There's little jokes weaved in the first sort of half an hour, but it's not super comedy heavy until about that point.
Yes. Yep.
So that's when you'd be like, wait, this is very comedic. Is this supposed to be funny?
Yep. See, that's why I was confused with the first half. Let's say half. It wasn't really half because it's a long movie. It's like 2 hours and like 10 minutes. Sorry, 2 hours and 9 minutes to be exact. Because
It's not a long movie. That's an average movie in this day and age.
2 hours of my life. An hour and a half of it was fine.
So it was just the first half an hour you had a real issue with.
Yeah, basically. The rest of it, as soon as the music got heavy and they started actually explaining things, I was like, this is all right. This is all right.
Okay.
I'm going to catch that sucker if it's the last thing I do. Quote from the cop. I don't know why I wrote that down. I just thought that was,
I love seeing like the insight into your brain when it's random things that you've just written down?
So random. There
love
is
that.
no method to my madness.
Like, why did that stick out to you? That's what I want to know.
I really don't remember. So I should also say that I had to watch this movie in 2 parts because I watched the first half an hour and I was like, friggin' hell, I don't want to keep watching this. I mean, I was really tired and I had to go to sleep.
Look, both are correct.
So I don't know if that was possibly in the first part or the second part. I think I started to enjoy it after the whole mall chase thing.
I reckon that was the start of the second part of the
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wrote it down. Apparently it was interesting. So why was the chick shooting at them and trying to kill them? And this movie explains nothing. Because it doesn't. She's just some random chick that tries to blows up their hotel room and then she did some other stupid thing and then she shoots them at the end.
That's the mystery. Why is this happening? Why is she targeting
I
them?
don't like mystery. Don't give me a murder mystery. Tell me the answer.
I was going to say, I'm not looking forward to watching like Knives Out with you because that's going to be painful.
Yeah, for both of us.
Yeah.
The next one I've got is the older brother, the taller brother. I can't remember his name.
Elwood.
Yeah, that one. That's the right. Yeah. Okay. This is another random one. You're probably going to hate this.
Okay.
He has a great toaster in his little room. What's his obsession with toast and why don't they explain it? Because it's like literally he just has this little grill thing and he just makes his little toast on it. Doesn't put anything on his toast.
He
Just
likes dry white toast.
dry white toast. It's weird.
He likes dry toast.
Yeah, apparently.
What's your issue? Stop
Weirdo.
giving him a hard time.
Okay. So the chick is some kind of crazy bitch blowing up the entire building. Back to her again. What the fuck is her problem? Why is she so crazy?
Which we do find out later in the movie.
Literally in the last 10 minutes of the movie. Really annoying.
Oh, you're going to be a nightmare to watch mystery movies with.
Yep, absolutely. They drive me crazy. This next one, I'm going to ruin it for you.
Oh, okay.
Where did they get the clean suits from? So straight from the hotel explosion, they've gone off somewhere and they're in fresh, clean suits and nice, clean hats.
Again,
Where did they come from?
I think that's part of the dry comedy. It's kind of like later in the movie where the cars are flipping.
It's part of that.
It's exaggerated. Like the whole thing is exaggerated. I think that's sort of the point of that.
Is it the cowboy bar exaggerated? Do they actually have those over there? Do they have like big like chicken wire so you can't actually...
There would be 100% bars that have got chicken wire around their stage for that very reason.
Wow.
100%.
I was really curious about
And
that.
there's
I was
jokes
like, is
about-
this literally what it's like?
We make jokes about it all the time.
Yeah.
About like our good friend Brad that does karaoke. He also has done a Blues Brothers tribute show in the past.
Yes.
And we joke about some of the bars that he's done karaoke at needs a stage with chicken wire because the crowds are so wild.
Huh. That's really interesting.
So yeah.
Sorry, just like kind of
that's
jumping
all right.
everywhere.
We're jumping everywhere. That's fine. We do that sometimes. It's fine.
Okay, so 40 minutes in, and I finally know that they're trying to put the band back together. I was like, what are they doing? What's going on? What's the point? He got out of jail. What was he in jail for?
If you paid attention in that first half an hour.
We're on a mission from God after they see the crazy lady.
Well, they go and meet the
crazy
head
lady.
of the orphanage that they grew up in.
Yep.
And she tells them that the orphanage is going to close down if they can't pay the $5,000 back taxes. And they don't have that sort of money.
Okay, so clearly the first 30, 40
they're
minutes.
trying to figure out how they can get that money. Elwood and Jake go to the church.
Yep.
And Jake has like an epiphany that we get the band back together, do a couple of shows, raise the money.
We're on a mission from God.
Well, they are.
10,000 times in a movie. How many times do you need to say? I mean, it was fine. Okay, moving on.
I wish people could see the looks I give you. We need to start doing a video podcast, and that's we should say that this episode is the first episode in our new purpose-built podcasting studio.
Whoop whoop! I love that you say "ow," like I had any part of it.
You did nothing, but
the Nazi scene.
The what scene?
Oh no, I'm gonna say it wrong. Nazis.
There we go. You said Nazi before. Yeah, the Illinois Nazis.
Yes.
I hate Illinois Nazis.
Again, I think it was just random. Or was it at that time that the Nazis were starting to kind of get up? Or were they just like, let's just throw some Nazis in there?
Okay. As a teacher.
I'm not a history teacher.
You just said, was it about that time the Nazis started to come up? When do you think Nazis first rose to prominence?
Again, I'm not a history teacher. I don't care.
Just as a human being, you should care. It's an important part of our history.
40s or 50s? I don't know.
40s.
Hey, bingo.
And you think this movie was set?
Didn't you say it was like the 80s or 70s?
Yes.
So they'd been pretty predominant there.
So the Nazis...
But Adolf Hitler, was he still... Yes.
No. He died at the end of World War II.
Oh. Okay. So back in the...
40s.
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
So no,
So why are they still talking about Adolf Hitler in the 80s?
Because there's lunatics out there still praising Hitler now because they're morons.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Like, that's...
Bitches be cray.
They do. 100%. That's the easiest way you can put it. Like, that's still an issue. Racism and Nazism is still an issue to this very day.
Yeah.
And if not becoming more prevalent at the moment, it's very dangerous and it's very worrying. But
yeah,
that was sort of, I think, set up to create a bad guy.
Okay, so now they've got like 3 different kind of bad guys.
They've got the police after them, and you know
they've
now
got
they've
the
got
Nazis,
the Nazis
and
after
they've got
them as
crazy
well.
bitch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's another antagonist.
Okay. Yeah. So just making more drama.
Basically.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair. Not really, but sure. So one of my favorite parts in the entire movie.
Okay. Ooh.
Favorite part.
Okay.
The freedom dance number. So she's singing to her husband.
Think.
Yes. And the Blues Brothers join in on the dance. I love where, you know, she's all like, fuck yeah, independent woman out on him. And then the Blues Brothers are just in there doing the dance moves. I was like, okay, that's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. And once we get to that sort of, this is where the music side of the movie really
This
kicks
is where
off.
I really enjoyed
You've got
it.
John Lee Hooker doing Boom Boom Boom, which is one of my all-time favourite songs. I've
Yep.
got that on vinyl and I still listen to that regularly because it's just an amazing song. Straight into Think, and that's when those musical numbers really ramp up.
Yes. But I still feel like there could have been more. I feel like there was only maybe 5 or 6 in the entire movie, and the movie was 2 hours.
Well, we will discuss, as we get to the end of the podcast, the sequel to this movie, and you might regret that saying. But anyway, continue with your notes.
I don't have a lot many.
Oh, okay.
A lot more.
Is this where you started getting sucked in? We can generally
Possibly.
tell in a movie where
Possibly.
your notes start to dip is where you start to enjoy the film.
Yep. Why is crazy bitch trying to kill hurt them? So I'm still on about the crazy bitch because she just randomly pops
Can
up.
I ask? Did you and I know the answer to this before I even ask it. Did you realize who Crazy Bitch, as you keep referring to her, is? It was.
No, but she looked
actress.
familiar.
It's Carrie Fisher, played Princess Leia in Star Wars.
I never watched Star Wars. I watched Attack of the Clones. I don't even remember. If you asked me who the robot thingy was called, I would say Yoda. Like, I have no idea.
I'm trying to think what Carrie Fisher has been in, because she's been in so much that you would remember her from.
Probably nothing.
Not necessarily.
Okay, let's try it. Let's do this list the movies that Jordie doesn't know.
Okay. So there's a lot of movies here that she was in that I didn't even realise she was in.
Okay.
So she was in Hook.
Okay.
Robin Williams.
Hey, look at you. I know
was
that one.
in Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah. Who was she in these?
My list here doesn't say who she played. It just says she was in them. So, and that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of movies on this list that I'm going, oh, I didn't realise she was a part of that. But she's also written a lot of movies, very, very famous. She passed away a couple of years ago. She's absolutely an incredible actress. And this was coming off the back of Star Wars too.
Yeah. So she was very popular.
So she was
and
very
she
popular.
was...
And some of the cameos in this movie are hugely incredible.
Yeah.
We talked about Think there. That was Aretha Franklin. It's one of the greatest soul singers of all time.
Was it really?
The Reverend at the start was James Brown,
Yeah, I don't know that one.
who's a famous soul singer.
Oh.
Do-do-do-do-do-do. I knew that I would.
No,
Do-do-do-do. James Brown.
Gotcha. Yeah. I love that you have to sing for me to understand.
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
Shake Tail Feather, obviously Ray Charles.
Again, Shake Tail Feather.
Another huge music superstar. Like
Yeah.
this movie for what it was at the time, like, it was a small film, really.
Yeah.
To get the cameos and the cast that they got for this movie, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely
huge.
incredible. Cab Calloway, who was their sort of father figure
Yep.
that did Minnie and the Moocher.
Yeah.
Another huge soul performer. Like, just a huge cast to be able to pull off for this movie.
And that's why it's so popular,
Yeah.
obviously.
Well, one of the many reasons that, and it's just a cracking bloody movie.
Sure. My final note was that I got way more into it when the music really kept going. Like the musical numbers all started and they kept following each other and there was no boring talk, kind of.
Well, as someone that's never seen this movie, how many of the songs did you then recognise and go, oh, that's from this?
Yeah, a few of them. Yeah. So I would say there were 4 or 5 big ones that I was like, oh yeah, I know those.
Yeah.
That's where they're from.
Yep.
Shake Your Tail Feather I knew because, that was one of our key dances that we did back in my day.
Same for me. It was the first time I ever saw this movie was watching Shake Tail Feather when I was 12. to learn it for a school performance.
Yep.
Same thing.
Crazy.
That's what got me into this movie and why I fell in love with it.
And why you always sing the Blues Brother medley?
Medley, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a karaoke
That's like
go-to.
your favourite karaoke thing.
100%.
And I'm not going to lie, because I love it too, because I always dance to it, so...
And that's why. That's why I love doing it, because people love the songs.
Yeah.
And it's become a thing that you haven't seen this movie up until now, but love those songs already.
Knew the songs, yeah.
Knew the songs.
Knew and
And
loved
so I
them.
think even if you haven't seen this film, you know the music from this movie.
Yeah.
Like it's become that ingrained in our culture that much
Yep.
that people just know it.
And love it.
Like even the "We're on a mission from God." If you quoted that to a lot of people, they'd go, "Oh, Blues Brothers."
Good one. Yeah.
Like they would get it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like a
just-
universal language that people just
100%.
know.
100%.
But yeah, that's where my notes kind of stopped because I got into it.
So we got to the end. Obviously, fair bit of resolution. We find out why crazy bitch, as you keep calling her, is so crazy.
Finally. So he left her.
He left her at the altar.
But apparently it wasn't his fault. And he was like crying and he was all like, it wasn't my fault, I didn't mean it. But we all know he's talking shit.
But I love that when you think of it like that, okay, he's left her at the altar. The fact that she's studied flamethrowers and rocket launchers and
To try and kill
explosives
him.
to try and kill him.
Yeah, look, I like that.
Like it just takes
I
it
like
to
that
that
in a
whole
woman.
next level of over the top comedy.
Yeah.
Which I love.
But fair.
Absolutely fair. Huge issues with the film when it was being made. I know there was a lot of budget issues. It went way over budget when they were making it.
Was that because of the cast or was that just everything?
I don't think it was the cast. I think it was more the length of shooting.
Because it was a 2-hour movie.
No, not because of that, because they had a lot of different things they had to worry about.
Because it was a 2-hour and 9-minute movie.
They used 13 different bluesmobiles in the
Wow.
car because all the car chases and the stunts were real, not created with computer imagery or anything like that.
Wow.
40 stunt drivers flown in every weekend to do the work. 60 old police cars were purchased for $400 a piece. And the filmmakers got permission to drive down Lake Street in Chicago at speeds of over 100 miles an hour to make sure that it looked realistic. Like it was that scene
That's
where it's
kinda
like
cool.
the front of the car and you can see it.
Yep.
That's
Realistic.
not fake. That's stunt drivers doing that driving.
That's so cool.
So cool. This movie actually had a record of the most cars crashed in a movie. It was 104.
I suppose if you're only paying $400 a car, like
104 cars trashed. That record was only broken by the sequel to Blues Brothers 2000, which came out in 1998,
yeah.
where they trashed 105 cars.
Oh my goodness.
Just
So
to
one more,
to deliberately break that record.
Of course.
It was actually really popular here in Australia. So, like the Rocky Horror Show in New York, Blues Brothers was shown regularly at the Valhalla Cinema in Melbourne on a Friday night throughout the 80s and 90s, where people would dress up, go along, sing along. 30 actors would recreate the movie in front of the stage as the movie was playing. Like, a
That's
very
kinda
Rocky
cool.
Horror vibe, but
Very
mainly
cool.
mainly in Australia, it had that sort of thing. It wasn't sort of
Anywhere
that big
else.
anywhere else. And during the movie, Dan Aykroyd, who played
Yep.
Al Wood,
Yep.
and Carrie Fisher, who played, as we said, Crazy
Yes.
Bitch, they actually got engaged.
Ha!
They were a real couple, and they were actually set up by John Belushi, who played Jake.
Jake.
And they got engaged afterwards. It was one of Carrie Fisher's many, many engagements,
Oh, yes. Yep.
which she talked about quite a bit. And Dan Aykroyd, actually wrote the first draft of this, so he actually wrote Ghostbusters as well. If you didn't realise, Dan Aykroyd that plays Al Wood is Ray from Ghostbusters.
No, I didn't realise that. Because he had always got his like sunglasses on. You can't really see. Like
He was actually, it's funny though, he was a lot younger looking in this than anything else. Like if you watch,
Yeah.
this and Ghostbusters were only 4 years apart,
But because we couldn't see his face.
but if you watch both those movies back to back, he aged a lot in those 4 years. Like he does not.
Well, if he
doesn't
was
look-
with Carrie Fisher, like
I don't think they would get that for
that,
that
long.
long.
So another question.
yeah.
What's the go with the sunglasses and the hat and then never taking them off even at nighttime? Is that like a cool blues? Is that like their
That's
their
their
thing?
gimmick, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's their thing.
Yeah. I liked it when they said, oh, all right, we're ready. We've got our sunglasses on and it's nighttime. And I was like, oh. When they were like in the car chase or
105
something?
miles to Chicago.
Yes.
We got half a pack of cigarettes, full tank of gas. It's dark. We're wearing sunglasses.
Let's
Hit
go.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, another quote that I know very, very well.
Yeah.
Because I have watched this movie quite a bit. Like it's understatedly funny. And that's
Yep.
what I'm saying. Like I think the discussions we've had about our comedies in the past
Yeah.
has been that I tend to like those movies that have that dry humor.
You do.
Whereas you like
don't.
very obvious
Yeah,
funny
yeah.
humor. This movie has, again, a very dry, and that's why I was a bit worried about you watching this because of the sense of humor in it. I was like, it is a very dry sense of humor, but over the top at times as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like really subtle, dry jokes, but then you get things like they reverse the car and it flips backwards over the other one and drives off.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
you know, the
Like
Nazis drive off the bridge.
Yep.
That literally is like, 100 meters tall, but then
Yeah.
they're falling
All of the
kilometers out of the sky.
Yeah.
And it just goes on and on and on. And even
Yeah.
the police car crashes where it just keeps going.
Yeah. It's just constant. Yeah.
It's just one after the other, and you go, oh, surely that's it. And then there's
And
more,
then there's
and it
more.
just becomes funnier because of that. So, I think that's one of the reasons I love this movie so much.
Yeah.
We talked about the mall scene earlier. That was
Yes.
actually filmed in a real mall. The story behind it was that they only paid for the things that they damaged.
Ah. Yep.
So, like, you can see them, like, the certain shops they hit
Yep.
would have been planned, and whatever wasn't damaged was stock that went back to other stores and those sorts of things. But
Yeah.
it was a real mall.
Yep.
They actually shot that in.
It's kind of cool.
This movie is just one of those ones that it has a really great backstory to it to become a cult classic. Like, when it was released, it didn't do overly well.
No. So when it was released, was that like a big popular time for the blues? Was that when like the blues were really like
Well,
like the
Blues music is still
Yeah.
very, always has been since the 30s.
Yeah, but you know.
I don't know if it was in culture as much as it is.
Yeah.
Like, you were seeing, a lot of rhythm and blues with, as I said, Aretha Franklin, James Brown, Ray Charles, a lot of the people that are in this movie.
Yeah.
But it probably brought it to the forefront a little bit more.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't get the credit for that as well. So it released on June 20, 1980. It was released in 594 theatres in the States. It grossed $115 million.
Wow.
So the budget was $27.5–30 million, roughly.
Oh yeah.
So it didn't.
So was that what they actually spent, or was that?
That's what they spent.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So it didn't do overly well. Like, it
No.
made 4 times its budget.
Yeah.
That's
Which
fairly
is good.
successful.
Yeah.
For 1980, fairly successful. But I think it became a lot more popular
Later on.
through VHS and those sorts of things down the track when it was released to home video, those sorts of things. It became this cult classic, much like the Rocky Horror Show and all that sort of stuff. It became a cult classic.
Yeah, and I suppose
So-
musicals always were, weren't they?
Oh, 100%. Well, yes and no.
Yeah.
Some were, some weren't. But this, I think, was one of the very first Saturday Night Live movies, and we've talked about this quite a bit with Wayne's World and Austin Powers and those sorts of ones.
Yeah.
It ranks second between Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2 among the films adapted from Saturday Night Live sketches with the money it made.
Ah, yeah, yep.
So, which
So,
surprised
pretty
me.
good.
I thought it would have made more than
More
Wayne's
than
World.
Wayne's World, yeah.
Because I love Wayne's World, but this is a much bigger, I guess, in the zeitgeist of things, it's a much more popular film, I would say, than Wayne's World.
Mm.
It's one of those movies that it does live on and will live on for a long, long time. And I was watching the credits of the movie and realizing how many stars of the film have passed away.
Oh,
Like,
Yep.
literally, like
Carrie Fisher.
Carrie Fisher, James Brown, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Jake.
So were the Blues Brothers, were they actual like singers in real life? Like were they as big as, your
They started a band through.
Okay.
So the band actually became a thing through Saturday
Through
Night
the-
Live. It
yeah.
was sort of set up as a sketch that then turned into an actual band where they perform. So Dan Aykroyd actually owns the House of Blues
Yep.
with John Belushi's brother, but still perform there regularly.
Okay,
So
cool.
see, John Belushi passed away not long after this movie was released.
Yeah.
From a drug overdose. Like to party hard,
Yeah,
obviously.
clearly.
And that's why, and we did talk about this in Ghostbusters, and the fact that Slimer, the green ghost in Ghostbusters,
Yeah.
was originally, they wanted him modelled after John Belushi because he was supposed to be in that movie.
Ah, yep. So that's how they
Apart from that movie, I think Venkman originally was written for John Belushi.
Oh,
So that's how that all comes
look
about.
at these movie connections.
And that's these comedians from that 80s period where there was Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd that were all sort of working. It's sort of like now where you see a Judd Apatow film and you've got Seth Rogen and all those sort of those
all the
guys all
similar
working
kind of
together.
ones. Yeah.
They all work in each other's movies. Like Anchorman, where you see Luke Wilson and Will Ferrell and all those guys working together.
Yeah.
Was that sort of thing in the 80s. It's almost a sort of
Yeah,
first
like your little
instance of
connections.
that, those little connections, those groups. So, but just as I said, just really sad to see who's no longer with us. Cab Calloway as well, Ray Charles, Aretha Franklin, Donald Duck Dunn, the bass guitarist. He passed away last year. I think before.
Sorry, what's his name?
No, that was 10 years ago that he's
Did
passed away.
you say
2012.
Donald Duck?
Yes. So his name was Donald Dunn, but his nickname was Duck. He was Donald Duck Dunn.
Ha, that's great. Is that where Donald Duck came from, or was Donald Duck around first?
Donald Duck was around first.
So his parents named him after Donald Duck.
He wasn't named, like, Duck's not his middle name. It's his nickname.
No, surely his parents knew what they were doing.
No, I don't think his parents gave him that name. I think that was a name assigned to him later in life.
But Donald Dunn is basically Donald Duck. Like they knew exactly what they were doing.
I don't think they did.
What terrible parents.
If you say so.
Moving on.
Moving on. But yeah, so many artists. John Candy as well, who played the police detective.
I want candy.
Okay. So John Candy, who was the big police chief with the mustache.
Yeah.
Did you recognise him from anything? He's been in a lot of movies, and movies I know you've seen. Cool Runnings?
No.
You've seen Cool Runnings? The Jamaica Bobsled Team movie?
Yeah, but I was like 12.
So when I said to you, we should do Cool Runnings, you're like, no, I've seen that.
Yeah, I have seen it when I was 12.
Sounds like we need a rewatch. He was in Home Alone as well. He had a cameo in Home Alone. Uncle Buck. He was a big star of the 80s and early 90s. Very,
Did
very
he have
funny
the
man.
mustache through all of the movies?
No, he did not.
Okay, then I wouldn't have figured it out.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, yeah. If that's
If
what
he had the
stopped
mustache, would have been fine.
Sure. Okay. All right, well, look, let's wrap it up. Let's start with the question we always ask. What would you rate Blues Brothers out of 5?
Ooh, okay, so I'm going to go with a 3. 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah. If it didn't have the first 40 minutes of the movie, it probably would have been a 4.
Okay. And would you watch a sequel to Blues Brothers?
Now I know that there is a sequel, so I'm really going to think about my answer. But yes, because you said it has more music, yes, I would watch a sequel.
So it has more music, but it doesn't have a lot of other things. So Blues Brothers 2000 was released in 1998.
Yeah.
Basically, Dan Aykroyd wrote the movie.
Yep.
And he went to Jake Belushi, John Belushi's brother, who he owns the House of Blues with and performs with as the Blues Brothers. The two of them perform as the Blues Brothers.
Sunglasses, hat and everything.
At the House of Blues. And he said, I want to do a sequel. And he went, no. But Dan Aykroyd persevered and still decided to make the movie.
Yep.
So when the person that you are performing with as the Blues Brothers every night turns around and goes, don't think that's a good idea, and you still go, yeah, I might do it anyway.
Yeah.
You'd think that would be a warning, but no.
Yeah.
So it starred John Goodman, which you would remember if you saw him, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And a young child.
Yep.
As the new Blues Brothers.
Oh, dear.
And it features, I think, 12 full-length songs in its
Full length. They're long songs.
Very long songs.
Wow.
Very long songs. And it made a lot less at the box office. A lot less. It is another guilty pleasure of mine.
Of course it is.
I do like watching it every now and then, but it is not a great movie. When you compare the two films,
yep.
Although I think you would
I'd
actually
probably enjoy
like it more.
Okay, yeah.
Like the comedy's a lot stupider.
My kind of thing. More music.
Everything that sort of a little bit worked in this movie is dialed up to 20.
Okay,
for
yeah.
Blues Brothers 10. So you might...
I'd probably enjoy it.
Maybe it is worth a bonus episode watch, like we did with Mortal Kombat 2.
How long does the movie go for?
The movie runs for, I think it's a lot shorter, actually.
Ooh.
123 minutes, so 2 hours.
I can do that.
That's 2 hours.
Oh, I don't want to do that. We'll see.
I think maybe we will. Maybe we'll have to give it a look.
Yeah. Does it need to be after the baby's here so I can be drunk watching it? Will that make my enjoyment
I actually
higher?
think, as I said, I think you will actually enjoy Blues Brothers 2000.
Yep. More
than...
Okay. I trust you sometimes. Don't know if I do it this
Knowing your
time,
taste in
but
movies,
sure.
I feel like you'll enjoy it more.
Okay. All right. Cool.
We might add that to the list. That wraps up another episode of It's About Time You Watch This. We will talk to you again next week.
You've been listening to It's About Time You Watch This, a creative media production.